In the heart of London, the Royal Mint Court sits beside the Tower of London, a site steeped in British history, now at the center of a modern controversy. Once the place where Britain's coins were forged, it's set to become the new home for China's embassy in the UK. But this isn't just another diplomatic mission. The plans reveal a vast, fortified complex, one of China's largest embassies in the world. The scale and security of the project have ignited fierce debate, turning this real estate into a symbol of the tense UK-China relationship. The embassy would transform the Royal Mint into a self-contained diplomatic city with offices, staff accommodation, and a cultural center, all behind high walls and tight security. Critics question whether this is simply about administration or a projection of power in the heart of London. The location is highly symbolic. The Tower of London, a centuries-old emblem of British sovereignty, now overshadowed by a foreign fortress. This is more than a planning dispute. It's about national security, human rights, and Britain's foreign policy direction. The embassy has become a lightning rod for anxieties about China's influence, uniting local residents and human rights activists in opposition. The debate reflects a global question. How should Western democracies engage with a powerful China that doesn't share their values? The Royal Mint Court story encapsulates the difficult choices facing the UK in the 21st century. Economic ties with China are vital, but so are concerns about human rights and assertive foreign policy. The outcome here will send a clear signal about where Britain stands in its relationship with Beijing. China bought Royal Mint Court in 2018 for £255 million, aiming to consolidate its scattered diplomatic functions into a single state-of-the-art complex. The current embassy is too small for China's growing presence in the UK, officials say, and a new facility is needed to manage expanding ties and serve the Chinese community. But this is no ordinary embassy. The plans include extensive offices, residential apartments for hundreds of staff, and a large cultural center to promote Chinese culture and language. Beijing frames this as a soft power initiative, a showcase for modern China and a bridge to the British public. Yet the scale is unprecedented in London, with on-site accommodation and security features that critics say create an insular, heavily monitored environment. The embassy would be one of the largest in Europe, reflecting China's ambition for a permanent leading presence in the West. Officials call it a symbol of the golden era of UK-China relations, a long-term investment in partnership. They argue a secure, modern embassy is essential for diplomacy, and Royal Mint Court is the perfect site. For Beijing, this project is a logical step in a maturing relationship. The embassy plans have sparked strong opposition from local residents and activists. Locals fear constant protests, security cordons, and the transformation of their neighborhood into a fortress. Pro-democracy campaigners from Hong Kong, Uyghur, and Tibetan activists see the embassy as a symbol of repression and a potential base for monitoring dissidents. They worry about intimidation and surveillance of diaspora communities. British politicians and security officials have also raised alarms, citing China's record of using overseas missions to monitor critics. The idea of a major Chinese intelligence hub near the Tower of London and the city's financial district has set off security concerns. This broad coalition, residents, activists, and security experts, has turned a local planning issue into a national debate. They argue the risks to community cohesion, dissident safety, and national security outweigh any diplomatic or economic benefits. The opposition has become a formidable political challenge to the embassy's approval. The debate intensified after a shocking incident in Manchester in 2022. During a peaceful protest outside the Chinese consulate, pro-democracy activist Bob Chan was dragged onto consulate grounds and assaulted, caught on camera for all to see. The British government condemned the attack, and police launched an investigation, but diplomatic immunity complicated justice. The incident shattered trust in Chinese officials' conduct on UK soil, providing concrete proof for fears about harassment and violence against dissidents. For opponents of the London embassy, Manchester was a wake-up call. The risks are real, not hypothetical. The Chinese government claimed the protester had stormed the grounds, but withdrew the officials involved without accountability. This outcome left activists feeling justice was denied and reinforced distrust. The Manchester assault cast a long shadow over the Royal Mint Court proposal. It hardened opposition and made political support for the embassy far more difficult. The question now, can the UK guarantee safety for protesters in London? The Royal Mint Court site is not just historic, it's strategically sensitive, bordering the City of London and key government infrastructure. Security experts warn the embassy could become a powerful base for Chinese intelligence gathering, equipped with advanced surveillance technology. Western agencies have repeatedly warned about China's aggressive espionage targeting military, commercial, and political secrets. The embassy's size and technical capacity would make it an ideal platform for such operations, including electronic eavesdropping. On-site accommodation for hundreds of staff raises fears of undeclared intelligence officers operating under diplomatic cover. The proximity to the Tower of London and vital communication networks heightens the risk. MI5 and GCHQ have been drawn into the debate, with former officials publicly warning of the dangers. They argue national security must take precedence over diplomatic or economic interests. Once built and granted diplomatic status, the embassy would be nearly impossible to monitor or control. The decision carries long-term, potentially irreversible consequences for British security. The Royal Mint Court battle has become a rare showdown between local and national government. In December 2022, Tower Hamlets Council unanimously rejected the embassy plans, citing security and community concerns. This was a bold stand for local democracy against international pressure. But China appealed, moving the decision to the national level, where the planning inspectorate and government ministers now hold sway. The conflict highlights a core tension: should local communities or central government decide on projects with national implications? The government can override the council if it deems the embassy nationally important, but doing so risks political backlash. Blocking the embassy could provoke Chinese retaliation and harm economic ties. The government is caught between upholding security and human rights and maintaining relations with a global superpower. The Royal Mint Court fight is now a high-stakes chess game between local, national, and international interests. The outcome remains uncertain, hanging in the balance. From Beijing's perspective, the controversy is baffling and frustrating. Chinese officials frame the project as a practical upgrade to improve diplomatic services and foster better UK-China relations. They argue the new embassy will serve both Chinese and British citizens, and that opposition is driven by a vocal minority with a political agenda. Beijing presents the cultural center as an open invitation to build bridges and promote understanding. Security concerns are dismissed as outdated Cold War thinking. China insists the embassy will comply with UK law and international norms. They point out that other countries have large, secure embassies in China. For Beijing, the embassy is a symbol of mutual respect and a test of the UK's commitment to the relationship. Failure to approve it would be seen as Britain siding with the US in containing China's rise. The Royal Mint Court dispute is more than a planning issue. It's a defining moment for UK-China relations. For years, Britain pursued a golden era of engagement, prioritizing trade and downplaying rights concerns. But China's crackdown in Hong Kong, abuses in Xinjiang, and assertive foreign policy have forced a reassessment. The UK now calls China a systemic challenge, and the embassy debate is the first test of this new stance. Will Britain prioritize values and security, or revert to economic pragmatism? The world is watching. A bloc would align the UK with the US's tougher approach. Approval could be seen as weakness. The decision will send a powerful message about Britain's post-Brexit foreign policy. It's a choice between upholding democratic alliances or engaging pragmatically with all major powers. The Royal Mint Court fight has forced a national conversation about Britain's identity and global role. The Royal Mint Court saga is a London drama with global stakes. The embassy's scale and location have made it a lightning rod for anxieties, from local disruption to national security. On one side, China calls it a symbol of cooperation. On the other, opponents see a Trojan horse for power projection and surveillance. The process has exposed a clash between local democracy and national strategy. The government must now choose approve the embassy and risk public backlash, or block it and face diplomatic fallout. As of August 2025, the fate of Royal Mint Court hangs in the balance. The decision will define the UK's priorities: economic pragmatism or democratic principles. Whatever the outcome, it will shape Britain's relationship with China for decades to come.